All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, guys, going to be discussing the news that Leo DiCaprio is joining the cast of Heat 2, the sequel, of course, to Heat, the 1995 film starring Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, directed by the great Michael Mann. So I made a video about this about a year ago when they talked about the potential casting of Austin Butler to play the younger version of Val Kilmer, and Adam Driver didn't say what Adam Driver's which character he would be playing. A lot of people thought he'd be playing the young version of Neil McCauley, which I think, and I'm pretty sure that's what he's playing in this film. And so this thing was going, and then it sort of hit a stalemate, and a lot of it had to do with Michael Mann wants 200 million for his budget, and the studio was like, I don't know, that's a little bit high, which I agree. I think 200 million is way too high. I think a lot of these budgets for these films, particularly like you could look at the superhero film, that genre, they are out of this world, out of control, and that's why a lot of these films are suffering. They're not making any money. They're barely breaking even, and you go into these things to make money. And so I can see the studios I won't say standoffish, but they're calculating the risk, calculating the risk, into, you know, we can't afford to be having these flops or whatever. And so, but it appears once Leonardo DiCaprio was on board, the studios, it appears they were able to make an agreement, come together, because he's a known, proven entity with DiCaprio. And so he's definitely an actor. You could put a whole movie, you could put it on his back. You could put it on his back, and he could definitely, bring it. And that's the thing. DiCaprio he's a great actor. I mean, no matter what movie he's in, how well it does, he's going to bring a good performance. And so, to bring DiCaprio on is definite plus. So a lot of people, this Heat 2, what's it going to be about? And so the reports are it's going to be based off the sequel novel that came out in 2022. And this sequel novel was written by Michael Mann and Meg Gardner. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And so the book is a sequel, prequel, sequel, or sequel. Ugh. So as far as the prequel portion of the book, it takes place in Chicago, 1988, and it follows Vincent Hanna, which I think most people probably agree. I think the young Vincent Hanna is probably going to be played by Oscar Isaacs, and he's working to catch this gangster in Chicago. And concurrently going on at the same time is you have Neil McCauley, who will probably be played by Adam Driver. I mean, that's some of the reports I've seen. And you have Neil McCauley, Chris Hurlis, Michael Cerrito, and they're all planning their next caper. So you got the Vincent Hanna going after his guy, and then at the same time in the prequel, you got the crew that we saw on Heat. They're planning their caper or whatever. Which they don't mention anything about Danny Trejo's character, so I don't know. I would have think he would have been with the crew back then. I mean, 88's only 7 years, and they seem pretty tight. So maybe they'll add him in later or something. I don't know. So now getting to the sequel portion. So the sequel portion of the novel follows the events immediately following the events of Heat, with Chris Hurlis, and this version probably played by Austin Butler, the lone survivor of the crew from the bank robbery and everything. He's the lone survivor, and he has Vincent Hanna hunting him. And so at some point in the book, if it skips ahead to 5 years and we're going global, it appears that Chris, he's working for, a crime figure, big figure. I think it's either in Asia or South America. I can't remember. I think it might be Southeast Asia. I'm sorry, but he's not in America. We'll put it to you that way. He's not in America. So that's kind of where they're going with it, or they hope to go with it. I'm a little apprehensive because you're trying to tell these, maybe go with one or the other. But if you're casting all these people, they're probably going to do as the book. I don't know how that's going to follow, because you're going to have flashbacks, flash forwards. I mean, it's been done before in different films. I mean, hell, they did it in The Godfather 2. Do I think this movie is going to be on the level of Godfather 2? Most likely not. And so the other thing I think about is you have great directors like Michael Mann. And I'm thinking of more or less about some of the older directors, like Michael Mann, Ridley Scott. Do these guys still have it? You start looking at some of their work, and then maybe the time has passed them by. And Michael Mann might be in that same boat, because if you start looking at movies he directed here recently, he hasn't had too many hits. And so is there an audience for this? Yes, I'm going to go see it because I love films and I love the Heat, but like, is Dicaprio going to be enough to draw in the casuals? Because if you're rolling with a $200 million budget, you're going to have to make $600-700 million just to break even. And I don't know if a film like this just has enough to get the casuals out to come see it. Like, I think it just won't live up to the hype. I think it'll be a good movie, but I just think people will have to temper their expectations. At least that's what I'm going to do going into this whenever it comes out. Because I like to think of Jesus, what's the name of that film that Marty Scorsese directed straight to Netflix? It's from the book I Hear You Paint Houses, about the guy who whacked Jimmy Hoffa was in on it, but it's been proven he wasn't. I can't think of the name, but it was people consider a love letter, a goodbye to the mafia, the gangster genre that from the 70s to the 90s everybody enjoyed. Now the hype for that movie was through this. Oh, it's gonna be, but when you sit down and watch it, it was good, but it wasn't the hype. It didn't match the hype. And I think this will be the same result for this film. I just think it have a great cast, just like I'm so mad because I can't remember the name of that film. It's in my mind right now. But I just can't think of it. I'm so tempted to just reach down, grab my phone right here, and just look it up. Uh, and But I won't. I won't. Maybe I'll put it on the screen though. What is? I mean, I'll pop it up on the screen as I do the edit or whatever for it. But anyway, like I said, I just don't see it. I just don't see it living up to the hype. I think at the best we're looking at is going to be a good movie, and maybe they're hoping that they can bait us with the nostalgia. But I think the public as a whole, people just you can't. It ain't working on us no more.
Ain't no nostalgia to this shit here.
A lot of people that the nostalgia bait, we're not taking it anymore, and so it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, because like I said, he was a great film. And I think the problem is, and I mentioned this, and so if you were recapturing that magic, like because they say in this film, this sequel, oh, they're gonna have all these car chases, action, and all that. Yes, he had all that, but that wasn't what made Heat great. And rewatch it, like you can go back and watch it. I mean, it was the characters, you know, uh, Michael Mann's direction, but the quotables and you like I said, you have the two main characters, Pacino's Vincent Hanna, this overly obsessive, individual who he he's so involved in his job it destroys his personal life, where you have you know the other character, the opposite of him. You have the Neil McCauley character played by Robert De Niro, this cool, calm, collective, you know uh criminal who is just cut off from the world as far as having a relationship, and ends up getting that relationship and how that relationship affects him. And then him and Pacino coming together, and you have this criminal and you have this cop, but then you find out these men are just they're two peas in a pod. In a different world these guys would be friends. They'd be sitting around like they talk about in a film, having barbecues and probably having a couple beers and watching the game. It's just they're on a different side of the law. But like I said, all in all, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think, like I said, the cast is great, but I just think it just might be too late. It might be too late, but here's hoping. Here's hoping. Here's hoping. So yeah, guys. First of all, I want to apologize. I know I should have put my contacts on. I know this can be distracting, but I was in a hurry. had to get this out, but I do apologize. And okay, with that being said, like if it's for 1 minute, 5 minutes, or a whole damn video, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to view my content. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe and smash that like. Get in the comments and tell me what you think about this. Do you think Dicaprio, he's gonna, you know, you're in now because DiCaprio's involved, and you think his involvement's going to take this film to the next level? And will it reach the heights of Heat, the 1995 with Pacino and De Niro, or this will be a total miss? Or maybe you're like me, where you're like, I think it'll just be good, and it'll be nothing spectacular. It'll just be a good, competent film. So with that being said, everybody, it's your boy P. Sign off, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.